bedrooms. In advance, they brought jugs of water to their rooms, which would be covered with an ice crust in the morning. Because of this, many maids and cooks could not afford to wash immediately after waking up. This hygienic ritual was left for a later time. More attention was paid to the heating of the premises, the preparation of hot water for the owners, and the provision of fresh towels. Even in the rooms of aristocrats in the morning, the cold air remained, so the ablution usually took place in stages, first the hands, then the neck and face. In the homes of less wealthy people, soap was often dispensed with, since 19th century English soap did not dissolve well in cold water. Where there were funds, they were happy to use expensive soap with the addition of lavender, whose fragrance symbolized luxury and wealth. It is important to note that this fragrance continued to stick and distinguish the owners. Nevertheless, ordinary soap for ordinary Englishmen had a sharp, not the most pleasant smell. In his 1850 novel, William Thackeray used the expression "the unwashed crowd" to describe people emitting a specific aroma of a mixture of sweat and this ordinary soap. However, this soap was also quite expensive. A standard piece, weighing a little over 100 grams, cost in England during the time of Queen Victoria as much as 2 pounds of beef. In such conditions, the choice was often made in favor of feeding children. For the morning hygiene procedure, a basin, a bucket for collecting used water, and a jug with clean water were required. Victorian ladies often relied on the help of maids for their morning hygiene routine, using objects made of painted porcelain. In contrast, mothers with large families, especially if they were considered poor, were limited to a copper jug and clean rags, which they dipped in water and used to wipe their faces. This method of washing was practiced by almost everyone at that time, as well-known magazines recommended it. In the middle of the XIX century, it became fashionable not only to wash hands, but also to treat them with carbolic acid. Housewives bought it in pharmacies in the form of small bags with crystals, which were then diluted in water and used in the kitchen. The specific aroma of this disinfectant also became a symbol of cleanliness and hygiene during the time of Queen Victoria. The use of the bath was available only to people with high incomes, but this method of ablution was practiced only in the evenings and not every day because of the difficulties of its organization. Victorians believed that the bathroom was more suitable for bathing children or men who could afford more free behavior in the house, dressed in warm long robes. On the other hand, the hostess had to follow a strict dress code: corset, crinoline, lace collars. A Victorian lady could not even imagine her mother or wife walking around the house in a bathrobe. In the novel Gone with the Wind, events unfold on the other coast of the Atlantic, but in the same Victorian era. Margaret Mitchell also pays attention to these Victorian norms in the behavior of the heroine Ellen O'Hara. Scarlett has never seen her mother lose her composure, or that her outfit, whatever it was, regardless of the time of day, was not perfect. When Ellen was preparing to go to a ball, to visit, or to a court session in Jonesboro, it usually took at least 2 hours to prepare her outfit, and for this she needed the services of 2 maids. The hair-washing procedure was a separate and quite time-consuming activity. In the 19th century, short haircuts were not yet popular, and almost every woman in the Victoria era had quite long hair. An important rule was considered to be regular combing of hair, done twice a day, including for the sake of maintaining cleanliness. Since washing hair was difficult and required considerable resources, many avoided this procedure as long as possible. Some people, in order to save money, heated water for washing their hair only once a month. To encourage women to take care of hygiene in this matter, magazines began to publish recommendations. The widespread belief that washing your hair causes a cold or migraine is a myth. An English women's magazine assured in 1853, water is the most effective way to clean the scalp and hair. A popular means for washing hair was water with the addition of rosemary. At the same time, soap was not very popular for these purposes because of the frequent complaints of women about skin irritation. Those who lived outside the city collected rainwater, which they considered softer and more pleasant to wash. On average, a Victorian lady paid attention to her hair about once a week. Interestingly, many rich ladies sought to maintain the beauty of their hands and nails by daily washing in water with lemon, as it was believed that this gives the skin a whiter shade. However, many people tried to look clean and tidy. Appearance played a huge role, both when looking for a job and even when going to the store. Those who moved from the village to the city understood that in order to get a place in a respectable house, you first need to put yourself in order. The absence of clean nails, an unbuttoned shirt, and untidy clothes were signs that a person did not fit into the decent world. Sloppy appearance was considered a sign of negligence and unreliability. Note: the mentioned Hannah Kalouf is a real historical person who left records of her work in an aristocratic family in the middle of the XIX century.